Do you ever think you'd make it 75?
Well, no, never did have time to think about that. Had to work all the time. I guess that's the reason why we made it that far.
Yeah.
We got pretty old after that, didn't we? Now that was
My grandparents, Buford and Geraldine, I'd say they were one of a kind, and that's true in some respects. But I'm not sure that's where the story lies here. When I reflect upon their lives, I don't see grand accomplishments, lavish parties, or a quest for self-realization and enlightenment. Far from it, actually. But what I do see is two of the happiest, most content people who I've ever met in my life. It's like they inherited a script on how to live a life. And by not deviating or becoming too questioning or too smart for their own good, they were able to live what turned out to be exceptional, yet ordinary lives. You remember what you said to me when I first mentioned doing a movie on you?
What did I say?
You know, the first thing you said on the phone to me was, I don't know why anybody'd want to do a movie on us.
That still goes. That still goes. Everybody else thinks it'd be good, but I don't know. I never ever thought about such stuff like that, you know?
Like what?
Well, like being on anything that where everybody else could see it. Of course, they got Facebook now, and every time something happens down here with it, oh, I saw you on Facebook.
Think you'll ever get a Facebook?
No. I wouldn't know how to work it anyway.
Meemaw was dead on about Facebook. We got them an iPad at some point, but fortunately, and by the grace of God perhaps, the fancy touchscreen technology provided by Apple was unable to penetrate their minds. I think about this a lot, actually. What would it be like to grow up in a world where your immediate life was all that mattered? A world where you weren't constantly bombarded with messages about how you should seek more from life? Where you didn't know your neighbor's most extreme political thoughts? And where an opportunity to display your virtue required substantially more effort than making a few clicks on a screen?
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. I sure am. Love you. Be good. Okay. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. I was talking to Claire Joe. She said tell you hi.
Oh, nice.
What do you got here?
That's a sound recorder.
Is it hearing what I say? If it is, I better shut up.
Yeah, it's recording everything. It's recording what you say.
Claire Joe said, I'd like to see that when he gets that done. I said, you might not want to see it. I told her about Buford having his mouth wide open sleeping, and you got it. There he is with his mouth open again. Oh my goodness, and that he's sitting over here on the couch.
There was a beauty to their lives in that the little things, like an open mouth on the couch, could provide so much joy.
Is this stuff he uses on his back?
Yeah.
And it's really
I mean,
fun.
you don't think about using it.
And of course, he can't see how to rub that on his back, and it's cold, you know.
Oh boy.
I just get a whole big bunch of it.
Gob of it.
He says,
You're supposed to
Well,
warm
put it in the microwave. Put it in the microwave for a little bit. Just don't check it before you
make him
try.
suffer.
She's having fun with it.
I
know it. Like backing up to a stove.
Make him suffer.
Oh,
It's funny.
what's that thing there?
Recording you.
Me?
Yeah.
It'll be something.
Have a movie of us.
It boggled their minds that anyone would find what they were doing interesting enough for filming. And in the culture of "look at me" in which we currently inhabit, I found this perspective quite refreshing. You see, Buford and Geraldine didn't seek to create a life which would appear interesting to an outsider. Instead, they engaged with and took an interest in life. And the rewards from this approach were realized internally on a day-to-day basis.
Did you see anything interesting?
I saw a lot of interesting stuff. Yeah.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
Hollyhocks. Oh, they need a drink. Just look at them. See them?
They sure do.
Don't they look like they need a drink?
When looking at the lives of my grandparents, it's hard to separate them from the community that they came from. For 90 plus years of their lives, the place that Buford and Geraldine called home was Headley, Texas, population 329. Now, to most people, Headley might not have seemed like much, but to Meemaw, it might as well have been the Garden of Eden.
People like to go all these places and see all these things, and really, we never have really been. He's been, of course, overseas and all that, but I've never been but let's see, Colorado. I guess I've been in Kansas, New Mexico. I don't want to go no place. I'm happy right where I am. God just set me here and said, stay there. You know?
I took it for granted at the time, but there was a moment I noticed when going through the footage that I just can't get off of my mind. One of the local high schoolers had been injured in a car wreck, and Meemaw, with no relation to him, no connection to his parents, and without even any descendants in the school, took the time to check up on this kid. You see, they might not have been blood related or even family friends, but he was a part of Headley, and if you were a part of Headley, you were a part of her.
I'll get it for you.
Just keep going.
You get us good.
Yep. I don't know. When people think of small towns, it usually doesn't take long for cynical thoughts to start rolling off their tongues. These criticisms usually go something like, the people are closed-minded, there's nothing to do, and everyone is all up in everybody else's business all of the time. These criticisms do have some truth to them, but where most might have been at odds with the way things were in Headley, Buford and Geraldine embraced a beauty that those who lived in judgment would have been unable to recognize was there. Every day they went to the senior citizens and saw their friends and socialized. The characters and the stories they shared never changed, but what also stayed constant was the sense of connection and the care they showed for each other's lives.
Oh, she was excited.
Kathy who? Do I know
Spear.
her? Spear? Sounds familiar.
Well, she and Glendale graduated together.
Yeah.
But she and her mother run this thing, So.
Buford and Geraldine have always been second mom and daddy because they've always been for the kids, and they made every basketball game that I can think of, and they were always there if we needed anything. Back then, parents took care of kids, whether they were theirs or not. And so I was just very close to them. And basically, they were just there if we needed them.
What do you think they mean to the senior citizens?
Oh, they mean everything. Yeah, they mean everything. I don't know how to put it in words, but it's just wonderful that they're all can come and socialize and be together for a little time. They just mean a lot to the community and to me, especially.
Better go.
At first thought, I wouldn't have described my grandparents as particularly religious people. But after some reflection, I might be wrong about that. They never quoted scripture or used the fear of God for persuasion or as a manipulative tool. In fact, I don't know that Papa read any book, let alone the Bible, over the last 70 so years of his life.
Yeah, he could do all that math all day long, but boy, put that English was something he had to read. That was just out of his line.
So you passed English for him?
I passed his English test so he could graduate.
Philosophy and deep intellectualizing of a subject just wasn't something they were wired for.
Got on pretty sharp.
Well, thank you. My granddaughter told me that she was tired of me having them plaid shirts. She's a Popo, you got a plaid shirt. And I had one that had little. I said, well, how about this one? She said, it's just a dumbed down plaid.
But maybe there's more to religion than the brainiest amongst us are able to explain. Once a week, my grandparents got together with their community for 1 hour. They gave hugs, they shook hands, and they sang songs. And they made a commitment to try to make the following week better, or at least as good as the previous one. Whether this made them religious people or not, I can't really say. But I do know that these actions of worship worked for them. And I can't help but feel like they were blessed to have grown up in a time where it had not yet become fashionable to become too smart to practice them.
You know, it's wonderful.
Some kind of thing
Doing a
on
documentary.
us.
Y'all are famous, I keep telling you. Y'all are an inspiration to millions. Or you soon will be.
I don't feel very famous.
Well,
I don't know if I want to see this. How did you think?
that's right. I think you're famous. I think you're awesome. And I'm not just saying that for the camera.
You ever think about what has allowed y'all to age so well and be so
I
healthy
don't know if
compared
we
to...
age so well. We're still living is the only thing I know. Hard work. We've worked hard. We had to. Everybody needs something to do anyway. You don't need to just sit down forever. Or you lose all of your energies and everything else if you sit down all the time.
How long do you think y'all will work?
Till we die. We aim to. Don't you?
Hard work. That ingredient for life had been baked into my grandparents' DNA. Buford didn't have a lot to say. Hearing loss due to driving tractors and from time served in the Army during World War II had contributed to that. But his actions, they spoke volumes. You got a what?
Nail, I gotta drive down this bridge.
He woke up every day with a mission: to bring order to the land around him and to handle whatever work needed to be done. How'd you see that nail? Have you been meaning to get to it for a while?
Yeah, it might pump your car. That's all right.
How many cows do you have?
Oh,
cows and calves, all over 100 head.
And when one of those cows went missing, it was Buford's job to go find them. This narrative that we've been sold, that work is a burden, and that the real enjoyment of life comes after retirement, where one can sit back and enjoy the finer things in life, it had never been implanted in his brain. I think that he was a lot better off for it. There's that saying that idle hands are the devil's workshop. Well, Papa woke up every day with a purpose. And when you go home physically exhausted, there's not a lot of energy left over for the devil's work to be done.
Well, I still hadn't seen her. There's 3 there.
What's the next step?
What?
What's your next step to find her? You just hope she shows up?
You'd have to look and tell them where. Well, we didn't know.
On December 8th of 2019, Geraldine passed away in the middle of the night due to a heart attack at 94 years of age. It was just a few days shy of their 77th wedding anniversary. A few weeks later, we had trouble locating Buford. He was found out by one of his old barns, hammering tin in an attempt to patch up the old roof. They're excited to see you.
Yeah.
He continues to check his cows to this day. Getting that bed made, huh?
Yes, I don't like my bed unmade. Most people say they just leave theirs and get in it again at night, but I don't.
Not a very big bed. You two must like being close to each other.
It's plenty big for us. I don't understand how people have to have this others. Shelley had a big nosebleed one time, and they lived over here where Bubba lives. And they had to take her to Amarillo finally to get it stopped. So we asked us if we'd come over there and stay with the other kids. They had a king-size bed. I said, why do people need a king-size bed? That's the reason people don't stay together. They don't even know the other's there. If we got in that bed, why? There's enough room for 4. You know? I don't understand people. So, anyway. This is Buford's graduation class. I didn't have one because I graduated. But no, I didn't. I was a junior when we married. And I don't know, I just figured I didn't need any more education. Haven't needed it.
The idea that a woman's life might benefit from devoting herself to a man seems almost heretical in modern times. But for me, Ma, there could not have been a more noble and ultimately rewarding pursuit.
Didn't spray your britches legs.
I'd like to.
No, I wouldn't. Might have to take you to the hospital if I did that.
If you did what?
If I was to whop him one, I might have to take him to the hospital. I don't want to do that.
That's what's stopping you from whopping him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have y'all ever gotten in a fight?
No, I know who'd win. I'm not no fighter. He laughs at me every time I double up my fist. He said I don't double them up right. Said, I know you're not a fighter by the way you double up your fist.
Mm-hmm.
Not one fight between the two of y'all in 73 years?
No, she always run.
What? Always what?
Always run.
What about arguments? Those kind of fights? No?
No use to arguing. We just figure each one's got his own opinion. Don't need to argue about it. I know mine's right and he's the same way, so there ain't no use to argue about it. Oh, shoot. It's not that we always agreed on everything, but there wasn't no use to fight about it. Just like politics, I told you. I mean, you know, I don't fight about politics. We can't do anything about it. That's just a worthless thing to do. What's the use to doing that? We didn't have enough energy to do all stuff. We had to use our energy for something that was some good. In your generation and our generation, there's just a whole lot of difference.
Mm-hmm.
Kids today, they think they don't see each other every day or every minute of every day, and go off on the weekends. That was a no-no. People didn't do that in my time. That was for marriage, not dating. I still don't think it's right. I'm an old-fashioned girl. Lady, or old lady, or ever what you say.
The term soulmates gets thrown around a lot, and after 77 years by each other's sides, it's hard to argue that my grandparents didn't meet the criteria. But I can't help but wonder how much of the credit for this connection should go to the system and culture they grew up in, one which limited their options, yet allowed for the bond they shared to solidify and grow over time.
Most time he's the one that makes all the decisions. I never was a very good decision maker.
How many descendants do y'all have?
What?
How many descendants do y'all have?
Goodness. We don't know, do we?
No, I don't know.
Oh, we knew. I don't know.
We just counted 105 cows. How many descendants do you?
Not that many. Not that many. Are you counting just our kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids? Is what you're counting?
Yeah.
We've got 9 grandkids. We had 4 kids. And then it comes to the others, I've lost count.
Show me your
Anybody
refrigerator real quick.
Huh?
Show me your refrigerator.
What do you mean?
All your pictures and tell me about it.
Oh, tell you about it? Well, you don't know these up here, do you?
Oh, there's those up there?
Mm-hmm.
I might know them.
That's you and Brett and Whitney, right
Mhm.
up there in the corner. Right here's me and my brother. Before I started school, I think he weighed about 27 pounds. He's 6 months old.
Is that a heavy baby?
Yeah, he had so many wrinkles on his legs, Mother had to prise them apart to bathe him.
Are you proud of your refrigerator?
Not necessarily my refrigerator. I'm proud of my pictures. And I want it to last till I die, because they tell me the rest of them's aluminum and they won't hold pictures. That's what Haskell told me. And so I want this until all my life. I don't know if it'll last that long, but I'll find some place to put it, I bet.
Amen.
It's my brother calling. Hello? Oh, I'm all right. I'm on camera. Lynn's here, and he's doing a documentary. You should come on down. You should come on down.
Prestige and career accomplishments were not a part of my grandparents' lives. But that doesn't mean they didn't have a trophy case. It's just that the treasures that they valued and chose to display resulted in their walls looking a lot more like a family shrine.
That makes me happy.
Mm.
Whenever kids are happy, like your parents, Daryl and Barbara, Gail and Johnny. That's the uppermost part in my thinking, is hoping they'll always be happy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I think happiness, well, to me, it's so important.
They built their lives around family. And even into their 90s, whether they were helping their great-granddaughter Cassidy retrieve some old furniture, grabbing some pizza with their great-granddaughter Kaylee and the twins, feeding Sadie and the horses when their daughter Gail and son-in-law Johnny had to leave town, or helping out their son Daryl with the swather. Being there for family is what made their world go round.
I never wanted to be rich or famous or have a big name somewhere. I just wanted to work and be happy. I think it's real important to be happy. I think happiness makes you not grow old so fast, maybe.
As I left after my time spent filming, Meemaw had one final piece of advice and wish for the family.
For all of y'all, that you'll all stay friends. For all of our grandkids and that you'll all stay friends. I mean, you don't have to be close friends, but stay in touch. That's important to me.
Anything, if you had to give a message to your kids or grandkids or anything, any words of wisdom to pass on to the next generation or anything?
Keep a smile on your face and be like everybody that you come in contact with. And if you see a guy that is not smiling, give him one of yours. I heard that and I thought that was a good thing.
I spent 5 days filming with my grandparents almost 6 years ago. I knew I had something special in them, but I couldn't articulate exactly what it was at the time. Growing up, I knew they loved me, and of course I loved them too. But I also took them for granted in a lot of ways. It's like I had been programmed to look down upon their way of life and encouraged to rebel against it. Maybe this is a cosmic pattern that is universal amongst different generations. But when I look back on the messaging I received, it seems to have caused me to always be wishing I was somewhere else in life, and to be blind to the everyday beauty around me. A part of me was ashamed of my rural roots, yet life in the city left me lacking a sense of community, and a rejection and mocking of religion left me the option of spending my Sunday mornings hungover, instead of being forced to put myself together and commune under the idea of aiming high. The push to use my intellect and avoid hard physical labor left my body weak and neglected. Buford never had to seek out a gym or a yoga class to get in shape. The farm did that for him, and he was probably as strong into his 90s as I was at 29. At the age in which my grandparents were about to graduate their first from high school, I finally worked up the courage to get a dog, leaving me with at least one photo to mount on my family picture wall. The code my grandparents lived by: simplicity, community, hard work, commitment, and family, resulted in them experiencing incredibly rich lives well into their 90s. Growing up, I didn't recognize the blessing and value that a life like this could provide, but I'm grateful that I can see it now. I realized that my life wasn't meant to be a mirror of my grandparents. And in the end, I probably still wouldn't trade lives with them. But I appreciate where I came from. And moving forward, I hope that I have the wisdom to incorporate more of the code that they lived by into my own life. Is both a way to honor them, while also living a rich and rewarding story that is mine.
He's getting too deep, isn't he?
Well,
Don't have anything you'd say?
no, I don't think they'd listen.
Well, you know what? I mean, Daddy always told us, you know, to tell the truth. Don't cheat nobody. You remember that's how we grew up. Don't, you know, be fair with your fellow man. And you probably know to go by those rules.
Yeah.
That's it.
Pretty good.